The objective of this video is to learn how to put data in your calculator to draw a box plot and also determine if you have any outliers in your data. So we're going to start with this problem: the number of tornadoes recorded by each month in the year 2005. So with this data that's given, we've got 12 values here that we can enter into our calculator. So to save a little bit of time, I've already done that in mine. So if I go to Stat, Edit, I've cleared out list 1, and then I went back and typed these in, these values from 33, 10, 62, and so on. So now what we have done at this point is under Stat, and then when we arrow over to Calculate, we have calculated one variable stat on a list. So list 1, and then we just arrow down to Calculate, and we discover all sorts of things about this data. Well, this arrow indicates there's more information than what shows on this one screen. So if we arrow down, the rest of this gives us what we call a 5-number summary. We have the minimum, quartile 1, median, quartile 3, and the maximum. So I could, in my problem, go ahead and say, well, I know my 5-number summary. That was 10, 29.5, 123, 135.5, and 316. Because we would use a 5-number summary to help us draw a box and whiskers graph. Because when you sketch one, the endpoints of the whiskers are the max and the min, and then the box is determined by these values here: quartile 1, the median, and quartile 3. So knowing that information helps us out quite a bit. However, we can get our calculator to sketch this graph for us. So in our calculator, let's do that. We're going to go to right above up here, y equals. Do you see the in blue stat plot? So to access that, to actually draw graphs, we're going to have second y equals, and we could open up several stat plots if we need to. Notice everything's turned off right now. All these plots are off. So we're going to choose plot 1. So we just press enter here. And we need to turn that plot on. So we're going to press enter and make sure our cursor is highlighted on the word on. Now these are the different types of stat plots we can do. We can do a scatter plot. We're going to do that a little later. We can use a broken line graph, or a histogram, or these 2 box and whiskers graphs. So we're going to look at doing one of these box and whiskers graphs. Now I really am interested if there's any outliers. So when I arrow down to this line, I need to arrow to the right until I get to box and whiskers with the outlier, and then press enter. Okay, so we've got that one chosen. And the information that we're using is from list 1. Okay, so that's on our screen. And the frequency, that just means every item in list 1 is only going to be counted one time. And then you can use any of these 3 marks here. I choose to use this one. It's a little bit easier to see on the display on your calculator. So now we're ready to quit this. I'm going to do second quit. That just takes me back to the home screen, and I really want to see what this box and whiskers looks like. Now if I just press the graph key, whoops, let me go back to something else here, sorry. If I just press the graph key, depending on what I had in my calculator earlier, if I just press that, and that gives me a screen, a viewing screen from -10 to 10 on the x-axis. Okay, notice those little tick marks, and then from -10 to 10 on the y-axis. Well, our numbers that we're working with are quite a bit larger than 10. Okay, we've got 316 and 26, and so we're going to get the calculator to choose an appropriate window so we can see this graph. So to do that, we press the zoom key, that's the third key on the top row, and we have all these choices about how we can get the calculator to zoom in on a particular window. Well, we're going to arrow down until we find statistics, because we want to zoom stat, and that's choice number 9. So we're going to arrow down until we find zoom stat, because we're working in statistics. Press enter, and it gives us a good viewing window. That's so nice, because now if I would like, all this up here deals with graphing. If I press the trace key, notice that it says this, what we have graphed is plot 1 using list 1 data, and the minimum value is 10 because the cursor is sitting up there blinking on the 10. If I arrow to the right, now the cursor is blinking on quartile 1, 29.5. If I arrow a little bit further to the right, it's now on the median. Arrow to the right again, that's quartile 3. If I arrow to the right again, I've got a value for X. That's one of the values in my list of values over here. You know, if I go back and look at all these values, that's this 150. But if I arrow to the right one more time, then I have the maximum, which is sitting here at that 316. Now what that's telling me, since it stands off from the whiskers, that 316 is an outlier in my data. So that's what a box of whiskers looks like, and that helps us determine the outlier for a set of data.